Commend the bill to the House.
Mr Speaker.
Call Dennis O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. New Zealand First opposes the Environment Canterbury Temporary Commissioners and Improved Water Management Amendment Bill. First of all, looking at the title, it's not very temporary as far as these commissioners are concerned, and I don't think it's really very much about improved water management either. The bill does two things. Firstly, it extends the Commissioner's special water management powers for a further 4 years. And secondly, it delays the date for an elected ECAN to 2016, therefore a period without an elected council of over 6 years. Now, Mr Speaker, I want to say straight away that I supported the original move in 2010 to remove the elected council and to replace them with commissioners. And I did so with very great sadness, but there were long-standing political and management problems. And I can't do any better to sum it up than the statement in the supporting documentation here, which says, and I quote, "ECAN was clearly unable to perform and exercise its duties and powers, most critically those under the Resource Management Act 1991. There were long-standing problems due to entrenched political divisions, competing and adversarial approaches within ECAN, institutional and technical deficits and ingrained organisational culture issues." And I, for one, Mr Speaker, can testify to the fundamental truth of that. And it's no help to Canterbury or anyone else to deny, and Canterbury people knew at the time, that that was the truth of the situation. But we do need to move on. I was at that time, and still am, the chair of the Central Plains Water Trust, so was well aware of the water issues which took such an important position in the thinking of Cantabrians in 2010, and actually still do. But in 2010 there was great concern about some of the irrational behaviour of ECAN on irrigation issues, and I personally believe they were mainly management deficits, as in the regulatory impact statement. The Council itself, however, was very hostile indeed to all irrigation development, and that was driven by wound-up public and political perceptions about dairying rather than a robust policy and planning process. Central Plains was and is about sustainable farming, not just about dairying, and that's the way that New Zealand agriculture must move in the future. The development of the Sustainable Farming Protocol with contractual arrangements to back them up were what that particular project was about and still is. It established a trust to ensure a community scheme so that the water rights could never be alienated, that it would always be a community scheme. ECAN, I found, and we found on the Trust, virtually impossible to deal with. Firstly, because of unreasonable political hostility. You simply couldn't talk to the people. And then there was the them and us mentality. We were treated as enemies when we wanted to collaborate. And that wasn't good enough, I don't think. This also extended to council management, which sought to change plans for the Waimakariri River, even while the Central Plains RMA process was being finalised. Talk about pulling the rug out from under one's feet. The best hope, however, was and is for a consensus under the Canterbury Water Management Strategy. And that especially concerned and still concerns storage. ECAN wasted time on impossibly impractical proposals like in-ground storage, and there was a need for a balanced approach by ECAN, not a dictatorial one. The commissioners, I think, have done that, and they need to be commended for the approach that they have taken, which I think is a balanced one, which achieves environmental protection while facilitating sustainable use of water for irrigation. However, Mr Speaker, while I did support the original decision to insert the commissioners, That never meant that it was right to delay the elected council's reinstatement beyond 2013. The decision to add another 3 years to elect a new regional council is firstly unnecessary. Everything that the commissioners needed to do has already been sufficiently done. Secondly, it's unhelpful. The strategy of which I spoke now needs community buy-in and active support. It's unlikely, I think, that appointed commissioners can do that, and I think that's best done by local people, especially elected people. Thirdly, it is, of course, as others have said, an affront to democracy. In Canterbury, along with Sarah and the CCDU and Skirt and so on, there's altogether too much central government and not enough community governance in Canterbury. Community representation may be inconvenient for a national government, but they should understand that there is now a real sense of loss and grievance by Canterbury people concerning their lack of elected representation and a say in how the city and the province should be governed. Perception now is of government manipulation for its own ends. There is justified concern about commissioners with powers about the Rakaia Conservation Order. Now, while that order probably does need amendment in a way which balances the protection of the natural character of the river with sustainable use of water, it does need public input as well, because the decision has to be made where that balance should be. The commissioners are perceived as tools of central government, not of the community. And they are perceived, and the government in particular is perceived as having commercial imperatives through shareholding and trust power with its Rakaia and Lake Coleridge interests in power generation. So what should the government now do? I would have to disagree with the statement in the regulatory impact statement, which says as follows: there is a risk ECAN will revert to its irreconcilable and long-standing political divisions that emerge from the representational split of urban and rural populations and Christchurch interests and the use of the wider those of the wider region. Political divisions could return and prevent ECAN from acting as an effective decision-making body. Well, Mr. Speaker, if that was true, we would never get another ECAN elected in Canterbury, and that's really just not good enough. So the government should right now go ahead and carry out comprehensive consultation with the people of Canterbury about the future of regional governance there. There are many options that should be put before them. Should it be fully elected or part elected and part appointed? Should ECAN be reinstated as it once was, or should we establish one or more unitary councils? Now, Mr. Speaker, we don't know what Cantabrians think about that, and the national government should find out why before they start making decisions about this. So that consultation should be carried out now, and the new council, whatever it may be, should be elected normally in 2013. So those are the way that the wishes of the people of Canterbury and the people of Christchurch City can be carried out. And at the same time, there needs to be a review of the Christchurch City Council itself. People in Christchurch City believe that to be necessary too, and the same process should be applied to them. Mr. Speaker, what should be the form of local government, both at regional and city council level in Canterbury, is not really a choice for a particular party who happens to have power in a particular parliament. It is for the people themselves to decide. We have got to stop using this issue as a political football. If we want ECAN, as it will be in the future, to have the confidence of the local people, then there is only one option, and that is to carry out that consultation and then to do the election as planned in 2013. That is what the government promised. That is now what they should do.
Sorry to interrupt the honourable member. I call Colin King.
Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure.